or die. Hey, swing those hips around. Can't stop, roll back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Primed and Lubed. This is episode number 2, season 4, video catalog 378, as if you go back to the time when I was doing the channel called Lubed. Oil Nation, what is going on with our team? What is happening here? This is starting to feel like Groundhog Day again, as the Edmonton Oilers are now 0-2 on the season and have been outscored 11-2 and rely on a 39-year-old player to get the first goal of the season 85 minutes into the season. This is ridiculous, man. They got to get their shit together. Like I don't want to go through this again. They were telling us at the beginning of the season and all their preseason interviews how they want to get off to a good start, and that, well, they're not getting off to a good start. I don't know what else to say. Last week I said I was raising an eyebrow. There was some concern last week when I did this episode, and now we're 2 games into it, and it's one thing against Winnipeg, but still to play competitive at least. If they lost to Winnipeg 3-2, I'd be okay with it, but to lose 6-0 to the Jets, it's crazy. So we're going to get into that. We're going to look at this. Because of that, I want to look at the season openers that they've had since 2000. So I'm going to give you some statistical information from the millennia till now of how the Edmonton Oilers have done in season opener games. And then they played the Hawks yesterday, and another thumping. I mean, yeah, the Hawks have different personnel this year and all that, but man, it's not like the Edmonton Oilers were off since the beginning of April like Chicago. They played right until June. They should still have some of that connection. And I get it. There's a few players that are no longer on the team. Warren Fogle, CC, McLeod. I get it, but we upgraded, I believe, I would think. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Anyway, I'm not going to vent too much. I'm going to try not to vent too much. But I'm now at the point of being concerned. Are we going to be doing this 3-13-2 again? And then we're going to be looking for a new coach early November? Is that the plan? Is that what we're going to be doing? I really hope not. So then we're going to review this week's game. It's a loaded week starting tonight against the Calgary Flames, Battle of Alberta. Then they'll play the Flyers. Then they'll have so Calgary's actually playing pretty good. So they have a tough match with Calgary tonight. The Flyers, I still don't know where they're going to be this year. I would assume that the Oilers could beat them, but I mean, I also thought they would beat the Hawks yesterday. And then they got a couple really tough ones as they're going to face Steven Stamkos and the Nashville Predators, and then last year's conference finalist that the Oilers did defeat to go to the final, the Dallas Stars. We're going to do another episode of Reflections, and it happens to be on one of my favorite goalies of all time. I'm going to get another poll out there. Guys, I need you guys to chime in on the poll. It was actually very little results, which I was a little disappointed to see. I'd like to see a little bit more of you guys voting out there just to get more of an idea. And then we'll go into final thoughts. If you guys happen to be joining me today, I will answer your questions. I will post your comments or concerns, and you probably do have a few concerns like me. But let's get into this. We're going to start off with the Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets. That happened, what was it, on Wednesday, I believe? Wednesday or Thursday? I'm not even sure the day. It was on the 9th. This wasn't a good game. Not by any stretch of the imagination was this a good game. Let's get into this right now. as the Oilers end up losing this 6-0. Now, on these game notes that I got going here, I just pulled up their stats on the internet here for this particular one. And I'm looking at the hit column, and I didn't write this down on the stats that I'm going to post right away, but I'm reading 18 hits for Winnipeg, 0 hits for the Edmonton Oilers, which is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Yeah. When I saw that, I should have actually put that in this little graphic here. But anyway, let's get into the graphic here of the reason why they didn't do so well on this particular day. And it was a couple brutal giveaways by Bouchard and Nuge very early in this game. And I'm talking brutal giveaways. And it's like I was already starting to yell at the TV, like, what the heck is going on, guys? Pick it up. Connor McDavid did not even register a single shot and was a -2. Okay. The greatest player in the world did not register a single shot. So I don't know if he's deflated from last year or the media circus surrounding the ESPN event or whatnot, but something's just not quite right with Connor. I think he's trying to be the playmaker too much as well. I think he's got to definitely take more shots. He did get more shots in the Chicago game. We'll get into that. But, yeah, and I think there was actually a few players that didn't get shots. I think they were saying on the broadcast that Draisaitl, but I thought I did look on ESPN's site, and ESPN had Draisaitl with a shot. But anyway, 5 Winnipeg Jets with multi-point games. That doesn't really help your team win when the opponent has multi-players getting multi-point games. Connor Hellebuyck was absolutely lights out, outstanding. Because the chances that the Oilers did get were pretty decent, but he did stop all 30 shots his way, getting him the shutout. Very first game of the season, his first shutout of the year. On the other hand, Stuart Skinner, quite the opposite, as he let in 5 goals on 13 shots before getting pulled with a .615 save percentage. This definitely looks like Stuart Skinner of last year during some of those rough stretches. So I'm hoping he can shake it off. We're going to hopefully see him rebound tonight against Calgary. Because if not, I don't know. So for a game grade, what did I give them for a game grade? 6-0. Nothing was working. It was a fail. It was an absolute fail. Can't say enough. So yeah, unfortunately, it was a fail. I think I might have pressed the wrong button earlier on something, so I do apologize that. That's why I was looking down at my board here. Yeah, not the right start, not the start I was hoping to see out of the Edmonton Oilers as they start off the 24-25 NHL season. So that got me to thinking, okay, what has the Edmonton Oilers season opener history looked like in the last, and I didn't want to go all the way back to when they first started out, but I definitely wanted to get a bit of it. So I'm basically going from year 2000, 2001 till 23, 24, which was last year. And the results were actually pretty good. The Oilers have had some decent results prior to the Taylor Hall era. After that, it just seems like, I don't know if it was the fact that they have all these number 1 draft picks and the pressure was on them or what, but things kind of slope, as you're going to see here when I get into these graphics here. All right. Oops. Okay. In the last two seasons, season openers, the Oilers were blown out by the Canucks last year, 8-1. This year, 6-0 to the Jets. Like, bad games. Like, not being prepared, not ready to go. Definitely not. It's one thing to lose your season opener, especially when it's on your ice. Well, last year it was on Vancouver's ice. This year it was in Edmonton. You don't lose embarrassing in front of your crowd. And you don't want to get embarrassed on your season opener either, because it, as we saw, it made the Oilers absolutely spiral up until the dismissal of Jay Woodcroft. In 24 games dating back to 2000-2001 season, the Oilers have had a season opener record of 15-8-1. Two of those wins were decided in a shootout. So the Oilers have a decent record overall. However, since the millennium, the Oilers have been outscored 71-70. So only one goal difference, but they've been outscored. Even though they have a 15-8-1 record, they've been outscored. Despite outscoring the opponents 28-18 from 2000 and 2010. So that's where I go to tell you, like, since the Taylor Hall era, that 10-year span, they were much more efficient for whatever reason for their season openers. 19 of 24 were home ice games, 4 away and 1 neutral site game in Germany against the New Jersey Devils to start the 2018-19 season. I thought that was a very interesting stat, that 19 of 24 games were on home ice, that the Oilers had home ice. That's really a very strange balance. Usually it'd be more even. At least that's the numbers I got. Maybe I did something wrong on there, but I think that's the way that pulled off. So the question is, why has there been such a significant difference since the Taylor Hall era till now? Like, why were they better from 2000 to 2010 and then from 2010 to 2024? It's the $1 million question, guys. I don't understand why. Is it the Oiler crowd, the pressure playing in Edmonton? But there's a lot of pressure markets. Montreal, Toronto. I mean, but Toronto they're also another team that seems to struggle a little bit as well. So interesting way to think about it when I looked at those stats for how they've done in previous season opener games. So then they go on last night to play the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm hopeful that they'll pull off a win on this one. I was very, very hopeful, optimistic, and unfortunately, it would not be the case, as the Chicago Blackhawks would blank us. Well, not blank us, but would defeat us 5-2. And another piss poor defensive effort by the Edmonton Oilers. And unfortunately, not a very good effort at all. We'll get into the stats, and then I'm going to get into a little portion interview that Corey Perry made after that game. So let's dive into this. Perry nabs first goal of the season, 85 minutes into the season. So Corey Perry, at 39 years old, when you have the two best players arguably in the world on your team, you got a pretty good quarterback in Bouchard for a defenseman that can smack that puck pretty good and pretty precise. But it's Corey Perry, the senior on the team, at 39 years old, gets the first one and breaks the snide 85 minutes into the season. So basically a game, 1 period, and 5 minutes. That's brutal. McDavid has less shots than Nurse and Ekholm. McDavid had 3 shots. Nurse and Ekholm both had 4 in this game. I know McDavid is a playmaker, but he also is a horrifically good goal scorer. he's starting off a little slow, and I think he knows it as well. Mrazek had a pretty good night too, allowing only 2 goals on 38 shots for a .947 save percentage. So you got to give props where props is due. Connor Bedard would get 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. So he had a pretty good effort. And Oilers did have looks. Effort was there. Execution was poor. My game grade for this one, it has improved since the Winnipeg one, but not by much, as I'll give them a D for this one. I want to see better out of this team. I want to see a better defensive effort. And yeah. I'm going to play that clip of Corey Perry right now for you guys, so you can get a grip of what I was talking about.
What do you see through a couple of games here? I know this isn't anywhere near the start you guys are looking for.
No, it's not. We can be a lot better. We can be a little crisper. It just looks like we're slow with the puck right now, and we're not moving up the ice quick enough, and it's not an R&D or anything. It's everybody involved, and we gotta figure that out.
Is that just maybe a rut you get in that is more pronounced because it's the start of the season and you just get to play your way out of it, or what can you do to get that puck up there quicker?
Well, you can make all the excuses in the world, whatever you want to say, but it just everybody's got to look themselves in the mirror and start to bear down and play, make those plays hard, and it's frustrating.
5-on-5, you guys had 1 goal this year. You get credited with it. Is it about bearing down? It was some chances.
We had chances, yeah. We had chances. It's bearing down, harder on our stick, whatever you want to say, all the cliche words, but they're not going in the net, so you can put that out the window, and it's all about hard work, and that's what that's what it's all about.
How do you think such a good team has such a hard time finding its identity at the start of the year? How does that happen?
I don't know. It's a new season. There's new guys left. It's not the same team, and we have to figure out how we want to play and the style we want to play. And right now it's 6-0 the first game, and then you give up another 5 in this game. It's not the recipe.
I think you touched on it earlier. I apologize if I misheard, but how do you go about actually playing faster? Is it, the speed is the thing. And
it's not. You can have all the speed in the world, but if you don't move the puck, you're going to be slow. It's about moving the puck quick, moving the puck hard, and tape to tape, and that's what makes your team look fast. And we're not doing that right now.
So the biggest takeaway I got out of that was he's not calling out some of us have to look ourselves in the mirror. He was calling out the whole team. He was saying everyone has to look in the mirror and play a little bit better. That was, when I saw that, I was like, I want to put that clip onto today's episode, which I did. Very, very, very brutal. Now they got a pretty busy week with the Flames, Flyers, Predators, and Stars by the end of the week. Let's hope they can turn it around and starting tonight against Calgary at home. Calgary played last night too, so both teams have no excuses like, oh, well, they played last night. No, they both played last night. Again, Calgary is playing with some inspiration, which is huge, and we'll see what happens. I told Sammy that this team might actually do something because of what we witnessed over the summer, the droves of fans that came out to a former Calgarian player that passed away in Johnny Gaudreau and who was on a Columbus Blue Jackets. But there was, if you saw those images from last week when I shot it with Sammy, there was a lot of people that attended that candlelight vigil. So kudos to the Calgary Flame Base for that. But that's the only time you'll ever hear me say that. With Calgary coming in town, this is all based off last year's stats until I get into probably around November and we're starting to get some legitimate stats for this season, I'm pretty much going to go off of what they did last year. So they were 26th in the league with a 17.86% on the power play. Not a very good power play at all. Last year, 9th in the league with an 80.82% penalty kills. The penalty wasn't horrible, but their power play obviously was brutal. The Flames were a minus 14 in goal differential, 25th in the league for points, 12th in the West, and 5th in the Pacific, which meant they did not make the playoffs or qualify for the playoffs. Oilers took 3 of 4, including the Heritage Classic in Edmonton. So, again, they took 3 of 4 last year. They should be able to play relatively decent this year. And if they can't, I'm going to be obviously disappointed. Yeah. I am a little bit worked up right now because of last night's game, because I expected much better result. And that's, I think everyone wants to see a much better result. This is, like I said, it's feeling all too familiar from what happened last year. Again, we're going into the game on the 15th when they'll take on the Flyers. That'll be the last of their homestand. Then they'll go out on the road to Nashville and Dallas. This is an 8 p.m. Mountain start. So 7 o'clock my time in British Columbia here. What can we look for out of the Flyers based off of last year again? 32nd in the league with a 12.20 power play. So 32nd in the league for the power play. They had the worst power play. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, they were 4th in the league with the penalty kill, which I had to look at those stats twice because I'm like, wow, that's pretty good penalty kill. Crappy power play, but pretty good penalty kill. 83.40. That, I guess, would be the John Tortorella effect of playing hard and being zone responsible. In the Flyers were a minus 27 in goal differential in 23-24. The Flyers also, had a lot going on with the whole Team Canada stuff and obviously losing their goaltender and that. And we still don't know if he'll ever be back. Probably not. That was Carter Hart. So that was probably a massive distraction for them last year and disruption. They were 22nd in the league in points, 11th in the East, and 6th in the Metro. Oilers split the series a game apiece last year. So, again, this is one of those ones that the Oilers should be able to take. They should be able to take it. I'm kind of dumbfounded by the start so far. I saw the preseason. I was a little bit concerned. I was hoping it would not leak into the season, which it now has officially done so. And I'm expecting a hell of a game tonight by the Oilers when they take on the Flames. Let's go to some news around the league as Igor Shesterkin turns down an 8-year, $88 million extension from the New York Rangers. This contract would make him the highest, and he's turning this down. Remember that. He's turning it down. This contract would make it the highest contract for a goaltender in NHL history. And he's turning it down. Nope, don't want no part of it. That's when I think this is getting a little bit too much greed here. There's a little too much greed involved when you're turning down an 8-year, $88 million contract. And the funny thing is I'm hearing reports that he wants a shorter term contract. He's a goaltender that's young. Max out, get your 8 years. If something happens and you get a career-ending injury, and a lot of these goalies, like you look at Demko right now, he's kind of, who knows if he's going to be playing again. You look at, how many goalies like go out very early because it's just so hard on the body to be a goaltender, like with wearing all those pads and stretching very weird. And I mean, I don't know why he would want a shorter contract. I would go for the guaranteed money. $88 million. You're not going to go broke on that. If you do, then you're absolutely stupid with your spending. Sharks Macklin Celebrini was evaluated for his injury. He misses practice. I believe he's going to be out for a while. Panthers' Alexander Barkov is also going to be out as he got hurt against the Senators. We're looking at 2 to 3 weeks for him. The Lightning were locked up in Carolina, oddly enough, the Carolina Hurricanes, because of a hurricane going on in Florida. They had to spend the night in Carolina and then eventually got back until basically the storm cleared. But that must have been quite the joke amongst themselves. Like, we're locked up after playing the Hurricanes to go home because of a hurricane, which is crazy. And the Utah Hockey Club is unbeaten after an overtime win last night against the New York Rangers. Obviously, things are starting to potentially change direction in that now that they're not under Morello anymore and the Arizona business partners. Okay, so now we're going to look at the games that are up and coming, as the Oilers will take on, or the second half of the games that are up and coming. 4 games this week again. Predators and Stars are the next up. I believe it's Wednesday for the Predators, and Stars is on Saturday or Thursday. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but yeah, 4 games this week. Very busy week for the Edmonton Oilers as they will go forward. And with the Nashville Predators, there you go. Steven Stamkos. We'll see what he brings to this team and what kind of chemistry he brings. And then they also have Marchessault from Vegas. So they got a very new-looking team. And the way the Edmonton Oilers have been playing, I'll tell you right now, there's no chance they're going to beat this Nashville team. But hopefully they can start pulling it together. Okay, they were 16th in the league last year with a 21.56 power play, 22nd in the league with a 76.92 penalty kill. The Preds were a plus 18 in goal differential, 10th in the league for points, 6th in the West, 4th in the Central. They did make the playoffs, however, lost to the Vancouver Canucks. Nashville swept the series, taking all 3 games. This was kind of ironic when I looked at this. Every single game that they played against the Edmonton Oilers last year was a result of Nashville winning 6-5, which you couldn't write that in a script. Very bizarre for them. And then, then we'll go. I'll keep going on with the Stars. As far as Dallas goes, 6th in the league with a 24.17% power play, 8th in the league with an 82.1 penalty kill. The Stars were a plus 62 in goal differential. 2nd in the league in points, 2nd in the West, and 1st in the Central. Oilers took 2 of 3 and then defeated the Stars 4-2 in the Western Conference Final to proceed to the Stanley Cup, which we all know what happened there. We don't have to be reminded. But Dallas is another tough team. So, again, the Oilers have to start figuring this out because the teams that they're losing to right now, and I'm not saying they're shitty teams, but they were bottom feeders last year. At least Chicago was. Winnipeg was a pretty strong team last year. I can't say that for both teams. But tonight's going to be something. Like, if they lose to Calgary, I think there's going to be a lot of questions being asked, and we'll see. I am expecting the Oilers to absolutely win tonight pretty decisively. I am going to call it right now. They will win this game decisively. All right, let's get on to the next topic. And we go into another episode of Reflections. Again, guys, this is a pre-recorded video that I did 3 weeks ago. It just happens to be on one of my favorite goaltenders of all time, one and only Tommy Salo. Oops. No, I got to do the division standings. But yes, Tommy Salo will be coming up on Reflections pretty quick here. So far in the division standings, I guess I got my graphics a little mixed up here. Vegas is leading the Pacific with a two games played, 2 wins, so they got 4 points. Calgary with 4 points. I told Sammy Calgary is going to look good. Los Angeles, 1 win, 1 overtime loss for 3 points. Anaheim, 1 game played, 1 win. Seattle, 1-1 record for 2 points. Vancouver, 2 games, 2 losses for Vancouver, so I'm surprised about the Canucks as well. San Jose, 2 games played, 1 overtime loss, 1 loss for 1 point. And then the Edmonton Oilers, dead last. Hopefully that'll change by next week. But yeah, 2 games played, 2 losses. So yeah, not exactly ideal. Now we go into Reflections with Tommy Salo. One of my favorite goalies, for sure, hands down. Just a down-to-earth guy. I think a lot of you guys may have forgot about him, but he was awesome. You know what? I'm just going to get right into it. Let's do it. For my second installment of Reflections, once again, I'm going to go to the 1993 draft year, where this draft pick was a very high draft pick. He was a player that had to claw, scratch, and fight his way, not only with his confidence, but his physical abilities. I'm talking about none other than Tommy Salo. Tommy Salo happens to be one of my favorite goaltenders of all time. And to say that is speaking a lot, considering the Edmonton Oilers have been quite blessed with goaltending talents such as Grant Fuhr, Andy Moog, Dwayne Rolson, Curtis Joseph, just to name a few. But he was a quiet guy that just went about his business, and he was able to achieve such high honors and accolades in the international community, not so much at the professional NHL level. But if you take a look at his Wikipedia page, once you finish watching this, you'll know what I mean. He was honored on several occasions as a world champion. He's won Olympic gold, but he was also shamed Olympically and nationally. And we're going to get into that very shortly. Again, he was selected in the 5th round, 115th overall in 1993 by the New York Islanders. On March 20th, 1999, he was traded to the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for Mats Lindgren and an 8th-round pick in the 1999 NHL entry draft used to select Radek Martinek. He would remain an Edmonton Oiler for the next 6 seasons before getting dealt to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for Tom Gilbert on March 9th, 2004. As an Oiler, he would play 334 games, winning 147, losing 128, and tying 51, averaging a .905 save percentage throughout the course of his 6 years, despite playing a 70 and 73 game season during those 6 years. And not to mention, was playing in the decade of darkness. So he didn't even have a decent team in front of him. And for him to average a .905 save percentage under those conditions, absolutely remarkable. His Olympic resume has highs and lows, as he played an integral role in Sweden's gold medal victory in 1994 at the Olympic Games in Lillehammer, Norway. Salo made critical saves in the gold medal game as they defeated Canada in a shootout to secure Sweden's first ever Olympic medal in ice hockey. However, the script would change in 2002 when the highly favored Swedes eased their way through the round-robin stages of the tournament, only to get defeated in the quarterfinal game, in the quarterfinal game against Belarus. As the game was tied very late in the third period, Salo surrendered a 20-meter goal from defenseman Vladimir Kopat, which bounced off of his helmet mask, went up in the air, bounced off his back, and into the net. Sweden would not recover, and Salo was made the scapegoat in one of the biggest upsets in international hockey history. Some would claim that Salo was never the same after the incident. And I honestly believe he wasn't, because I also remember having discussions with friends. I haven't actually looked it up and verified it, but I do believe the country of Sweden made stamps shaming him of that particular goal. Shortly after completing his playing career on March 5th, 2007, with Kung Alves IK of the Swedish Tier 3 League, announced that Salo would be head coach for the next 2 seasons. Following his tenure with the club, he signed with IK Oskarshamn. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. I apologize if I'm not. On March 12th, 2009. On December 1st, 2010, Salo left his post at IK Oskarshamn to become general manager of Leksands IF. Unfortunately, on August 11th, 2020, Salo crashed his car into the middle railing of the E18 highway east of Köpen, Sweden. Police arrived to the scene to find Salo sleeping in his car. A blood sample showed that Salo was heavily intoxicated with a 3.06 alcohol in his bloodstream. On January 20th, 21, Salo was convicted of aggravated drunk driving and sentenced to 2 months in prison. So again, I think with everything that happened through Tommy Salo's career and all the pressures he put upon himself, and then being shamed nationally, I think it did take a toll on him. He would never admit to it. He was a quiet guy, just went about his business. But again, one of my favorite goaltenders of all time. Tell me what you guys think of this, guys. And again, if you guys have any players that you would like me to bring up and do a little reflection on, feel free to type that in the box. We'll see you next week, where I will talk about a defenseman. Oh, there you have it, guys. Yeah, Tommy Salo was definitely one of my favorite players. The next 2 weeks, I'll let the cat out of the bag right now. But the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do one on Randy Gregg and one on Craig McTavish, since they will be honored very shortly on the Ring of Fame, or whatever, the Wall of Fame in Edmonton at Rogers Place, as they will go up again, up to the rafters of the likes of Ryan Smith, Lee Foglin, you name it, Doug White. So yeah, that's my plan for next week, is to do those two, and then I gotta think of another guy that I want to dive into and who I want to project and kind of give you guys a little reminder of that player. Anyway, so it's time for the poll, guys, and okay, I have to do this poll this way. Why are the Oilers losing so bad in recent years on home openers? Why? I asked you guys that when I did that little home opener segment there, but it just absolutely makes no sense. Like last year, 8-1 against Vancouver. This year, 6-1. So I just want to maybe get your thoughts. Scan that QR code. There's some options available for you, and I do urge you guys to vote. Last week, I did ask you, how will the Oilers finish? There wasn't a really good turnout for this, I'll be honest with you. But 100% of you guys say they will win the Stanley Cup. I'd like to see a little bit better turnout to get a little bit more of an accurate vote. But yeah, we'll go with that for this one. So feel free to join in. Okay, we are going to go to, I believe, final thoughts and wrap this thing up very shortly here. If you guys have any comments, feel free to bring them to my attention. Let's do this. So it doesn't appear that there are any comments here. So I will wrap it up, and I'm going to wrap it up with a little hope. Guys, again, it's early. I'm not going to do what I did last year and totally lose faith, despite them going on a horrible run like they did last year. But they were still able to pull it off and get themselves to the Stanley Cup final. But I want this team, just like I said in the last week's video, I need this team to succeed and secure better home ice advantage in the playoffs and not just for one series. So let's hope for the best, guys. Enjoy the game tonight, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. You guys have yourself an amazing evening and afternoon, and a happy Thanksgiving to all you guys in Canada. Have a good one.